Shalom Yasharallah, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I'm going to jump to this here article real fast. It says Biden says he couldn't connect with Macron. Right now, a lot of this is just, going over on what they would say is a miss of communication, bad timing, and everything else like that. But some of the things they're going to actually point out in this here article at a deeper note is the fact of the matter that, everybody's not seeing eye to eye on certain things. All right. So let me read. I'm going to jump around in here because, like I said, not a lot of this, they talk about some other things in here. So it says Biden says he couldn't connect with Macron. So it says the French president didn't take the U.S. his U.S. counterpart congratulatory telephone call after winning re-election. All right. So basically, they were saying that they just happened to miss each other at the phone call. Right. So let me just read this. It says, I tried to talk to Emmanuel Macron last night. Biden told reporters on Monday. I spoke to his staff. He was at the Eiffel Tower having a good time, and I'm going to talk to him today. So, it's like whatever at that point. So let me see. Well, look, so let me read a little bit of this as well, because they was talking about, boom. Other well-wishers had better luck as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky was reported among European leaders who got through to Macron on Sunday. Let me jump down a little bit. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin also congratulated Macron, sent him a telegram saying, I sincerely wish you every success in state affairs as well as good health and well-being. All right. Now, it says also that Biden and Macron finally connected on the telephone on Monday, which again, whatever. But the point here I wanted to pull out was the fact of, let's read the rest. It says the two leaders haven't seen completely eye to eye on responding to Russia's military offensive against Ukraine. Now, you have a lot of these different nations that are looking at America right about now a certain type of way. All right, like the Saudis, they're not really answering the phone for America when it comes to the oil and everything else like that. All right, so they're losing their allies over that scenario. All right, you have, Turkey talking about standing up for the Palestinians and things like that over in the conflict with them in Israel, which America's always back in Israel and whatever that they do. All right, you have, this scenario where we're about to read about Macron and everything else like that. Then you also have the scenario with Germany and America. All right, so you have a lot of these different nations where, America is pretty much stiffen their own allies. And now their allies are starting to sober up from these different things, man. They're starting to look at America a different type of way. And, they're just putting a wedge between their relationships. All right. It says the two leaders haven't seen completely eye to eye on responding to Russia's military offense against Ukraine. Macron has called for dialogue with Moscow to help bring peace as he has chosen not to follow his U.S. counterpart and other NATO leaders and branding Putin a war criminal and accusing Russian forces of committing genocide. So, this is something that pretty much none of the American allies ever do. America can go tell another nation that, like, look, bro, I was going to make just a wild suggestion, like go shoot yourself in the head, and they would do it. But literally, they do stuff like that when they was like saying, hey, none of these nations buy oil from Venezuela. But guess who was buying oil from Venezuela? America. No nation be buying no oil from Russia unless we're going to sanction you. But who was able to buy oil from Russia? America. You see what I'm saying? Even at the threat of their own nations pretty much, going for broke in a scenario, man. But, nevertheless, these nations are starting to see what's really who really has their back and who don't, So it says Macron has called for a dialogue with Moscow to help bring peace and has chosen not to follow his U.S. counterpart and other NATO leaders by branding Putin a war criminal and accusing Russian forces of committing genocide. In fact, he suggested earlier this month that such rhetoric isn't conducive to ending the conflict in Ukraine. So, as America is over here trying to demonize, and paint the boogeyman, these other nations that's supposed to be their allies, like, nah, we don't really see you with the boogeyman. And you have to understand the role that these nations play in NATO and what NATO was even built for. NATO was built to go up against Russia. All right. But now you have these NATO members that's like actually fucking with Russia is really a threat to us. Fucking with Russia is pretty much suicide for us, not even militarily wise, but as you can see what's going on with the energy crisis that they facing over there and everything else like that by sanctioning Russia and all these different things. A lot of these nations like, we really can't go forward with these sanctions, man. We really can't go forward with let's say the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, man. All right, that's just shooting Germany in the foot, man, and the rest of Europe, man. But yet and still, it's like, how long do we have to toe the line with America here? It says genocide has a meaning, Macron said. Ukrainian people and Russian people are brotherly people. It's madness what's happening today. It's unbelievable, brutally, and a return to war in Europe. But at the same time, I look at the facts and I want to continue to try the utmost to be able to stop the war and restore peace. I'm not sure if the escalation of words serve our cause. And what these nations are starting to realize, like, is this the nigga that's over here causing all these problems, man? We didn't even have no war over here like this going on until y'all took y'all ass over there. And we're not really supportive of the things that y'all got going on over here, man. We not on y'all side of trying to call Russia out and everything else like that. But hey, this is what they really have going on. All right. This is late last month after Biden called Putin a butcher and said he cannot remain in power. Macron countered that leaders must use restraint in speaking about the crisis. We want to stop the war that Russia has launched in Ukraine without escalation. That's the objective, Macron said. If this is what we want to do, we should not escalate things neither with words nor actions. So, hey, certain things like, setting up no-fly zones, keep sending weapons over there when that's the thing that Russia's saying, hey, look, none of this would be happening if y'all wasn't sending weapons over there. None of this wouldn't be happening if y'all wasn't trying to steal this here nation that's on my border. And so what do you think is going to happen when you continue to keep supplying Ukraine with weapons? You think I'm going to just stop doing what I'm doing? I started this because that's what y'all was doing from the jump street. But what? America is urging them and their allies to do these things, but it's ultimately going to just bring them down to their own demise. It says the two leaders clashed last year, such as Salak. The two leaders also clashed last year, such as when Macron admonished Biden for abandoning pro-Western allies in Afghanistan and argued that the countries had a moral responsibility towards the Afghan peoples, remarks that were scrubbed from the White House summary of conversation. The Macron administration last September recalled its ambassador to Washington and accused Biden of behaving like Trump after Washington partnered with the UK to persuade the Australians to scrap a submarine deal with France and insisted instead by their vessels. And so what do you see America over here doing with their allies, ripping up their whole relationships with their own people, man? All right, so now all of a sudden is leaving a bad taste into all their own allies' mouth. Let me start out here by reading this in the top of Obadiah. It says, I'll just read from the top. Obadiah 1:1, it says, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith Yahweh power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And so now, hey, these nations are looking at America with some type of way, man. All right, they over here. Let me go into this real quick. All right. It says to despise, to hold in contempt, to disdain, regarding contempt, to be despicable, to be vile, to be worthless, to cause despite. So, hey, when you go into how they are looking at them as far as when it comes to the Ukraine scenario, some of these nations like, man, we're not really with that. You over calling Putin a monster and everything, and you got to watch how you talk about these world leaders. We're not gonna stand for all those types of things. Now, a lot of these actions that America and everybody else, or America is doing, a lot of their allies aren't really with these things. All right, so it says, behold, I've made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. So beforehand, America used to be that big shadow that was shadowing over all these other nations, like their allies and everything. It says, look, if I say jump, y'all say how high. If I tell y'all to go cut y'all left foot off, y'all say how how high up my leg do you want me to cut it off, man? All right, they wouldn't question anything America says, but now all of a sudden America say, hey, look, we're gonna go over here, we're gonna talk a certain type of way. You got America's allies standing back and saying, nah, bro, we're not actually with that. We're not really on you. We're not really taking your side on this here story. You want us to sanction, Russia in this here scenario and all these other scenarios. Hey, man, we're not really with all that rhetoric, man. We actually not going to be sticking our nose into this, man. You out there in your own right about now, man. All right. Let me jump down. Well, I can read verse 3 as well. It says, the pride of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? All right, the pride of him, because him and his nations or his allies beforehand, when it was the time of their power and the Lord had put the sword into their hand to do all these things, to conquer all these nations, he think that he got that on his own. All right, but the pride of his heart has deceived him. No, the Most High was controlling you and using you to fulfill your blessing out to a T. But guess what, buddy? You at the end of the line now. Now you about to come up out of power. Now, let me jump down to verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have bought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. And they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. And there is no understanding in him. So, hey, those that was a confederacy with him, those he was allies with, his partners that he was rolling with, man. Now they all starting to look at him, and he's greatly despised amongst his own people, man. Now he's being called out on the world stages. Now, America's like, yo, we about to, how they had that scene, like, yeah, you in what army? And then he's like, oh, me in this army. But then he turned around and looked behind him, and there ain't nobody back there, man. All right, now with this whole Russia thing, it's like, yo, he's trying to go for the gusto at the end all be all. It's like, look, we almost got everything fulfilled. Let's just go ahead and double down on it, man. I got me and my allies, they strong right now. We ready to go and everything else like that. Then all of a sudden he goes and take that step forward. And guess what? None of his allies really want anything to do with this Ukraine scenario. None of them really want to go up against Russia with the smoke, man. And again, like I said, you got to understand what the point of NATO was and why they even have NATO in this point in time was what? To stop Russia, right? But if the members in NATO, all right, no longer want to stop Russia, they ain't got no beef with Russia. What is that going to leave America, man? Going to leave them out there alone to dry on themselves, man. All right, let me grab this other precept real quick. Like I said, it's not going to be a long lesson, but hey, reading that article and looking at these different things, not just that article. Like I said, there's other articles as far as like, the Saudis not answering the phone when it comes to the gas. All right, they mentioned in an article about the submarine deal. All right, you have the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. You have all these other scenarios where America's allies are kind of like, we're going to go the other way around with these things, man. We even had Turkey, with the S-400 situation. Again, now you got Turkey also out there with the Palestinian situation now, man. All right. But, hey, this is going to leave pretty much America out there to draw on their own, man. This is Revelation 17, and just getting to the point, verse 16. All right. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and shall burn her with fire. So, hey, going into these these times that we're coming into, man, when America goes out to that third world war with Russia, against Russia, all right, what's going to wind up happening, man? America's allies are going to wind up leaving her out there on her own, man. They're going to wind up turning on her. Like the scriptures also say, all you that, let me try to find one of those precepts. Say it quite a bit over here, but, all the, yeah, right here, verse 14, Jeremiah 50 and verse 14, it says, oh man, so let me just wanted to get the point in verse 14, but let me start at verse 13. It says, because of the wrath of Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. And everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her plagues, because why? She's going to get nuked off the face of the earth. She's going to get it that bad. You see somebody get into a little fight in school or something like that. Most fights in school just last a couple seconds. A couple punches get thrown and everything else like that, and immediately it's getting broke up by the teacher. So it's not that much damage that's getting done. Maybe somebody gets stolen or something like that. They wind up with a black eye or something like that, versus somebody that's like, let's say in a nightclub or something like that, or in a street brawl, and they get stomped out, curb stomped and everything else like that. And you see them the next day like, damn, you look at them, they be all messed up, because why? Nobody was there to kind of stop the fight, man. All right. It was just, hey, no holds barred at that point in time. You got the full brunt of it, man. All right. And this is what's going to happen to America, man. All right. They're going to stand back and they're going to, they're going to be looking at America as it's getting destroyed. But it says, verse 14, it says, put yourselves in array against Babylon. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against Yahweh. And that was the point I wanted to grab, was how, again, in the midst of World War III, pretty much all these nations are going to pretty much turn on America and wind up spoiling her, man. All right. But, hey, America's allies aren't going to be there at her side to basically aid her, man. And as you see right now, that little relationship is getting rocky, man. It's just like a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend that live together or something like that, man. All right, they start out, one type of way. You always see them together and everything else like that, always riding in the same car together. But then now all of a sudden they showing up to events where they both there, but they arriving in separate cars, man. Now they back at the house sleeping in separate beds, man. Now that he done moved about the house, you be like, well, that relationship is pretty much done, man. He's over here, staying out late from work and everything else like that, or taking the second car. I mean, they pretty much about to be separated from here on out, man. But nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord's will, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and ever well. And citation, much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.